Welcome back. Good evening and welcome to round 2 of the Sim Racing Collective GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And a week ago, Suzuka kickstarted Season 3 in spectacular fashion. And a sensational race-long battle saw Sam Fleety victorious on debut. But as we take to the famed Watkins Glen, could we see another take to the top step? 15 minutes of qualifying and a 40-minute race to find out the answer to all of those burning questions. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm in the commentary booth talking you through all things sim racing here tonight. And this is TSRC live, of course, on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Welcome along to everyone who wants to join us in the YouTube chat today. It's a pleasure to have you. Make sure not to be shy. I don't bite. I'd love to hear your predictions, your comments, any queries that you have along the way. It'd be lovely. It'd be my pleasure to answer them and just have some general chit chat potentially. You know, let's have a talk. Whatever. It's only me in the commentary booth. I've got no one else to talk to other than my own thoughts and my own wiry little brain. So why not? Anyway, we jump into qualifying. 13 and a half minutes left on the clock. We ride on board with the Dutchman of Nico Veldman. Didn't see him out on the grid last time out at Suzuka, but he's back here today. The Flying Dutchman, of course, you remember him from Season 2. And he's looking to, well, kickstart Season 3 in good fashion. The number 29 Pro machine in the Audi R8. A very striking livery, it must be said. I do like his Audi. Anyway, through turn 1, very fast right-hander, 90 degrees, and then through the bank, slightly cambered turn number 2. Up the hill through 3, through the S's, of course. Pretty much flat out, I think, in these GT3 cars. Then, of course, through the very long right-hander that leads you onto this back straight before you hit the bus stop chicane. Very fast, very sensitive if the car is even slightly unsettled, but chuck it over one curb, chuck it over the second, and then try and get the run as straight as possible before you join the actual Grand Prix layout of the circuit. The very long right-hander that leads you then, not through to cut half the circuit there, you actually take through the boot and the heel and etc, etc. Again, at a 180 degree left-hander, late apex for Nico Veldman. We'll ride on board with him for the entirety of his lap. Then another hairpin S corner where you really have to aim the car in, hug the inside as much as possible. Uphill, of course, so the exit is of crucial importance. And a little bit of a slide off the exit as well for Nico Veldman. Unfortunately, not the ideal way around. Heavy braking again at the end of the very short back straight. And then again, trying to get onto the power as early as possible. Can't exploit much of those track limits like you can on other sims, but using the best of his abilities there through this, again, the left-hander. The third last corner that leads you onto, again, another small little straight into the penultimate corner. Chuck the car in, hold it as tight as possible, carry the minimum speed through, shortest line possible, bring it back to the left-hand side before you enter the final corner or the pit lane if you're opting for that. Very confusing, very strange pit lane entry. Nico Veldman, though, what time is it going to be on the board? So Smokey sets the benchmark with a 1:43.7. It's a 1:45.2 for the Flying Dutchman. Martin Blankensteiner, 4th place in Season 2's AM Championship, tops himself up to make it a Mercedes front row lockout as it stands, with Jack Southwood P3, Gem Hamling 4th, and Nico Verman, as we say, rounding off the top 5. Wouter Steenbergen in the BMW for the AMs, of course. So I'll be saying Pro-Am throughout the course of the stream. Those with a white number plate on the timing tower, they're your pros. They're the big boys. They're the top of the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on ACC. Then you've got the grey ones. They're the pro-ams. They're the middle guys. They're, too quick to be an am, but not quite there to consistently be with the pros. Then those with the red number plate, they're the AMs. They're the ones that maybe a little bit new to sim racing, maybe don't quite have the pace, but still pack just as much punch when it comes to incredible racing action along the way. And one of them we ride on board with is Wouter Steenbergen in his BMW. In terms of track position and qualifying importance around Watkins Glen, I mean, I'd say it's pretty important. You do kind of need it. But again, that's sort of true of any circuit. It helps to qualify well. Of course, naturally, you're going to want to qualify as high as possible. But it's a tricky circuit. It's tight. It's narrow. There's not a lot in the way of runoff around Watkins Glen. It's not, say, like Paul Ricard, where you can make an overtake. If it goes wrong, you just bail off the circuit or whatever. Yeah, there is grass. There are walls. You do have to be careful with Watkins Glen. But also with that, it does open itself up to some fairly decent battles. I mean, not last season, 2 seasons ago, all the way back to Season 1 was the last time we came to Watkins Glen. Of course, it was the champion of Season 1, the inaugural champion, Samuel Brignara, that took victory. But it was a very, very tight finish along the way. Very close, a lot of battles, and particularly that slipstream from turn 1 through 2 up the S's, and then down that back straight towards the bus stop chicane. Yeah, there is a pretty decent avenue for slipstream and sending moves into the inside. Then, of course, as you head into the right-hander just after the bus stop, the outer loop, or inner loop as it's, particularly, well, mostly called that chicane, what I've called the bus stop, then into the outer loop, that right-hander just after it. So, again, if you want to be picky with corner names, I know the Americans have got some special way of doing it, where sometimes, not here at Watkins Glen to be fair, but, the Virginia International Raceway, oh my word, do not get me started. The amount of, like, turn 4A, B, C, and then it's like turn 11, A, B, whatever. So they're 2 separate corners. I don't know why you're calling them A and B, but to each their own. The Americans have hosted some fantastic sports car racing and, of course, Formula 1. 3 races over the course of the Formula 1 calendar. But we look to the Sim Racing Collective and their championship, and at the moment it's very tight at the top of the time sheet. Sir Smokey, Martin Blankenstein are separated by just over half a tenth of a second. What can the Dane do? And it's nothing on this particular occasion. He joins himself into the pit lane. Oscar Soristo, not Oscari, not Oscar, the Finn, in his Carbon Fox Racing Aston Martin. At the moment, P5, just under a second off the pole time set by Sir Smokey, and he's not going to be improving anymore on this lap. Nearly running into the back of the car just in front of him there as well. He'll have to recompose himself, get back going again, and then try and improve on his lap time. That's all they're out for. Halfway through the session, 7.5 minutes left to go, and we are into the closing stages, which means people are going to have their wits about them, try and improve to the best of their ability, find that little bit of lap time, break just that marginal bit later, get on the throttle just that split second earlier, turn that little bit later, or even earlier sometimes helps. Just be that little bit smoother, try and slow in, fast out just that little bit more. Whatever you can find helps. And even if it's only a couple of tenths of a second, even a couple of thousandths of a second, it will help. You can see Gem Hamling, Oscar Soristo separated by 35 thousandths of a second, not even. 25 thousandths of a second. My maths just wasn't mathsing, but even more so proving my point that, to the naked eye, it's nothing. 25 thousandths of a second, you think 1, 2, 3. Like, that's seconds, and they're going by quite quickly, let alone thousandths of them. So there is nothing in it. Virtually, to the naked eye, identical lap times, but according to the timing sheets, not the case. So you've got to find that time. You've got to be that little bit better than those around you. And hopefully for Jack Southfield, he's going to try and do him and his kind proud. Lovely, lovely drift. Unfortunately, it's going to snap back onto him into the barrier. And he is not going to hear the end of that. And just like him when he's exposed to the sun, he is definitely going to get burnt by his peers, by his colleagues, by everyone who's just witnessed that crash. Snapped once, snapped twice. And unfortunately, it was beyond repair past that point. So Jack Southfield, P8 at the moment. He's got time to go out and try and get back to composure, put on some sun cream, and get back going again to try and improve upon his lap time. But second off the pace at the moment. Then again, the time set by our pole and P2 and P3 very, very quick. So a hard benchmark to beat. We ride on board with the Norwegian of Erik Larsen as it stands. He's P16, P5 in the Pro-Am, Pro Silver. There's names for it. Simplest terms to put it is probably just Pro-Am, the middle class, the second best, I suppose, if you want to be harsh. Bit of a twitch through the penultimate corner for Erik Larsen, but he's kept it nice and tidy in that very vibrant, I want to say yellow, but I think it's green Mercedes. It's one of the two. I don't know. Again, don't get me started on colours. Across the line, is it an improvement for Erik Larsen? Indeed it is. P9 overall and pole for the Pro-Ams in his crack racing Mercedes. Brilliant stuff. Of course, fantastic lap time right at the death of qualifying, but still just under 5 minutes left to go. So still ample opportunity for people to try and improve and to try and bounce back. The gap is plus 1 second for Erik Larsen, plus 1.6 for Conchabo. So 0.6 of a second for the Honda NSX driver to see himself on par with the Norwegian. But never say never. Anything can happen when it comes to motorsport. At the top of the field in terms of the pros, it's Smogy, Dominic Aligna, Martin Blankenstein and Sam Fleety, your top 4. Then comes Striker 5th, Guillaume Hamling, Oscar Soriso, Jack Southfield, Erik Larsen and Samuel Tremondley, the top 10. Very close, Smogy managing to improve to a 43.260, able to put himself just 0.3 clear of his fellow German of Aligna. But a very stacked field in terms of talent. The top 4 in this race are all winners, I believe. Sam Fleety won last time at Suzuka, so Smogy has definitely won at some point. Aligna, so quick, and was able to win the season finale, of course, at Spa for season number 2. Martin Blankensteiner, well, he needs no introduction. If it wasn't for a poor final half of season 2, surely would have won the AM Championship. But Sam Fleety, an unknown, really. He came into this season an unknown, but everyone knows him now. Took the win, of course, at Suzuka for round number 1. Comes across the line. Is he going to improve on that lap time? Not on this particular occasion. Well, he does improve to a 43.870. Doesn't quite improve enough to see himself ahead of Martin Blankensteiner, but Fleety is impressive. Very much impressed at Suzuka. Able to hold his composure. I mean, the first lap incident, I think it was with Sir Smogy and Dominic Aligna down in towards turn number 1. And Fleety just controlled the pack from there. Didn't look back. Didn't really feel at all under pressure. So at ease, so natural to him. So consistent and very quick as well. Saw him round out the victory. And I think he did start 4th for that race as well. Or was it 3rd? It was 4th or 3rd. Either way, a second row. And Sir Smogy and Dominic Aligna round off 1 and 2. Could we have deja vu with Suzuka? I don't know. Weirder things have happened. Václav Volodya, the Estonian, not in his Tiger Racing Team Mercedes this year. He's instead taken to a Dragon and in a Porsche. At the moment, P8 overall, P8 in the pros as well. Across the line, up to 7th. Overtakes Guillaume Hamling, the Luxembourgish driver, in the 351 Lamborghini, and able to get himself up another place is Volodya. 7th place for the number 7. A little bit further back, Zampiri in the BMW, a little bit towards the back end of the Pro-Am field, and unless he can improve, and he does improve to a 146.597, but not quite enough to see himself ahead of Sims or Chef or Peters, Wright, Conchabo or Larsen. And here's Paul Sims just in front of Giuseppe Zampiri. I'm going to take the whole season to try and get that name right. It's the same with Volodya. I even said to him, I was like, am I pronouncing your name right? To Volodya this is. He was like, good effort. So I was like, I'll take that, to be honest. I'll just call you Slav or Volodya. But Vyacheslav, it was a good effort. Whereas with Giuseppe's Empiri, I don't know, it just it doesn't flow off my tongue quite as well as potentially he would, and maybe his Italian accent or something or other. So maybe I'll have to talk to him and ask. But that's besides the point. We're into the final minute of qualifying. Jim Hamling gets himself into fourth, onto the second row of the grid for the Bauer Motorsport Lamborghini. He's going to be well chuffed for that lap. Still 5/10 off the pole time. Dominic Aligna there in his Audi R8 in the slipstream of Zempiri in that Italian BMW. Can he improve though? 3/10 needed to top Sir Smokey for pole position. Is it going to be his day? Can he seal the deal in the final stages of qualifying? Gear Hamling into the pit lane. Same too for Fleety. Only 6th place for him. Tremondley and Southfield 9th and 10th. Nico Velman, Conchabo 13th and 14th. And Hacker also all into the pit lane to end their qualifying session. Dominic Aligna, though, catching a bit of traffic. He is going to scrape one more lap in if he wants it. And I think he's pulls into the pit lane. Doesn't want that extra lap. Will stay second. Maurice Stryker, yet another Dutchman in this championship. The Honda NSX, can it do miracles? Won last time we were at Watkins Glen in the hands of Samu Brignara. Can it win again? 4 different manufacturers, Mercedes, Audi, Honda, Lamborghini, all inside the top 4. So it's not a case of car. It's not a case of, oh, they've got better balance of performance, blah, 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 blah. None of those rubbish excuses. 4 manufacturers inside the top 4. So it can be anyone's game. Maurice Stryker through the final corner, a little bit wide. Oh my word. Flirting with the wall on the exit there, and the run to the line. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is. 62 thousandths of a second off pole position sees him take to the front row of the second round of season 3 here at Watkins Glen. Brilliant lap time from Maurice Stryker. So close. So close. And I think the only person that can maybe pip him to it is this man right here. The Dane of Martin Blankensteiner, so close to the wall as well off the exit of the final corner, and the run to the line. Is it an improvement? It is indeed. Not quite enough for the front row, but enough for the second. 3rd place for the multiple-time race winner of Martin Blankensteiner, waiting for Giuseppe's Empiri in his, again, a very German car with a very Italian livery. Makes me want some pasta or pizza or something. That's qualifying ticks down to 0. The checker flag is out, and that marks the end of the qualifying session as soon as the rest of them cross the line. Of course, you are watching live on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, like if you are enjoying what you're watching, share it around to your friends, family, anyone that's new to motorsport, anyone that's not new to motorsport, anyone you think might enjoy a bit of GT3 action here at Watkins Glen. Get them in on it, get them in the YouTube chat, and let me know how they are doing as well. Of course, everything sim racing on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. You will not miss anything. There's something to tickle your fancy and something pretty much every night of the week. So Smokey takes pole position though with a sensational lap time. No purple sectors, but consistent enough across the board. The 284 takes, yes, another pole position. He'll be joined on the front row by Maurice Stryker. Martin Blankenstein and Dominic Aligna keep each other company on row 2, with Guillaume Hamling in 5th. Sam Fleety, last time out's race winner, only 6th. With the fin of Oscar Soristo, P7. Slav Volodya joins him in P8 on the 4th row of the grid. Samuel Tremondley, Jack Southfield, 9 and 10. Eric Larson takes pole for the Pro-Ams with James Wright just in behind him there in P12. Then comes Peters 13th. Nico Veldman on his return can only muster up a lap time good enough for 14th. Conchabo, Sims, Rubini, Chef, Sampiri, Raya, Steenberg, and Williams, Massey, and Hacker. The 24-car grid in store for us today. I'm going to take a step back just for a moment, catch a breather, grab a drink, and then I'll be back for the green flag to signal us underway for the formation lap. Do not go anywhere.
30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
So Smokey leaves them around then for the formation lap of the second round of season number 3 for the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We're here in the Americas for Watkins Glen, the second time in TSRC history. What a sensational race it was last time we were here. What a sensational championship. What a sensational series. And we are in for a treat. As I said just before the brief intermission, make sure you're like, subscribed, the bell is on for notifications, share the stream, the channel around as much as you can. Phenomenal growth on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel over recent months. It's fantastic to be able to be on this journey with you all, with James himself, the big man at the top, working so hard to be able to bring you guys everything sim racing. The sacrifices he has made and the successes that we are sharing with him as well is phenomenal. So only praises, of course, going his way. And well, last year he proved that with a VCO Simi Award nomination for Best Commentary, which he very much did deserve indeed. But yeah, get yourself in. Of course, JP Broadcasting later on tonight. We take to the Radical Sim Racing just after this. There is a bit of overlap with the EU series, and of course for those of you that are maybe night owls or those of you at the different time zone, a little bit later on, 1:45 in the morning in GMT, you can take to the American version of the Radical Racing series as well. Many other series along the way. Round 3 of the TSRC, when we signal the third round and the halfway point of the season as well. In a week's time we'll also be here. We take to Imola to mark the midway point. That'll be in a week's time, of course, 8 p.m. GMT for those of you in the UK, whatever time zone that is for you around the world as well. But everything sim racing here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, there is something to tip your fancy, and even if there's not, there's something for you to try, something new. GT3s, Radicals, single seaters, you can name it, and it's on here across all sims, all actually I don't know if we're on all platforms, maybe there's something to look into, but all sims, certainly, all disciplines of racing, all different styles of commentary. There is something for you here. There is a home for you here. And we're very community based. We do love to engage with you in the YouTube chat. We do love to have a bit of banter, have a joke around, and get to know you all, because at the end of the day, we're here to have fun. At the end of the day, it's pretend race cars, and the hobby is what unites us all. So yeah, that's why the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, the service, has had so much success and will continue to grow over the coming months, years, potentially. But yeah, that aside, we're here for Watkins Glen, and we're now just about to round off the formation lap here today. So Smokey is on pole. Maurice Stryker will be alongside him as they round off 2 by 2, 12 rows deep for 24 car field. But who's going to come out on top today? So Smokey will take the inside line down and towards turn 1, but Maurice Stryker might eye up his strike into the fast right-hander, maybe around the outside. They've got their tyres warmed up, they've done their pre-race rituals, and now it's go time. 40 minutes on the clock, round number 2 of the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione, brought to you by JP Broadcasting. Is about to get underway, and the 284 Mercedes controls the pace all the way to the green flag to signal us underway for our racing action here today. A stacked top 5, top 6, top 10 even. It could be anyone's game. The green flag waves, and we are underway in Watkins Glen. A sensational start from the Dutchman. Maurice Stryker sees him a nose ahead, but Sir Smokey comes back in towards turn number 1, and the Mercedes has the inside line, but the 23 Honda NSX tries the long way round. barged off the circuit and has to settle in behind. You can see Martin Blankensteiner, Dominic Ligner even in his Audi R8 trying to make up some places. Unfortunately, Blankensteiner dropping down to 4th through the S's for the first time through the long right-hander of turn number 4 to see you on to the back straight. The bus stop chicane for the first time. Samuel Chimondley trying to make up some places as well in his very vibrant pink Audi R8. Outside line for the bus stop chicane. Everyone trying to funnel their way through as cleanly as possible. 10th place for Samuel Chimondley. And he's trying to work his way forward. So Smoker leads, Striker, Aligna, Blankensteiner, Fleety, your top 5, and a breakaway from the front by a couple of car lengths. Dominic Aligna falling back to 4th. Martin Blankensteiner able to get the better of him in towards the inner and outer loops. But as they run their way through the chute in towards the heel, downhill braking, of course, then an uphill corner to see you all the way around. Is there anyone that's going to be eyeing up a strike? The initial early race chaos is starting to dwindle down just a little bit, particularly at the front, but you can see Fleety there trying to maybe go for a move in towards the heel. Nothing materializing though on this particular occasion. Side by side, Jack Southfield and Samuel Chimondley, they shared the 5th row of the grid, and now we're battling it out for those same positions. The young Briton not quite good enough around the outside. The penultimate corner for the first time. See Oscar Soristo just in front, taking a very wide line as well as they run their way in towards the final corner. Once more to round off lap number 1. Very wide from Chimondley, could allow Southfield through. A very long train spanning pretty much the entirety of the field. Slipstream playing a big factor in today's race. And maybe a send there from our Pro-Am leader of Eric Larson. He's got some pace in that Mercedes, but he's closely followed by the Porsche of James Wright. We'll follow the battles as and when they come. But a fight for the lead amongst the Pro-Ams could be spicy. The fight for the lead as well, also equally spicy. The very striking Honda NSX. Maurice Stryker trying to follow Sir Smokey as close as possible, but they start to break away from Martin Blankensteiner to the extent of only a couple of car lengths, but still enough to, to have some comfort and security. Of course, can't get complacent, but still enough there in the bank, ready to go. If and when they decide to sort of duke it out a little bit more. I mean, at this stage in the race, there's not really much you can do in terms of battling it out without losing too much time. Maybe they want to break away from the rest, wait till after the pit stops to really kick things going and maybe hit the ground running and get some battling going on. Back to 22nd overall. Giuseppe Zampiri is trying to make up some places. His fellow Italian of Davide Massi just in front, running side by side with Hacker for P20 overall outside line, and they do touch indeed. 117 of James Hacker trying to hang on to what is now P20. And Massi following him just in behind, but 2 Italians breathing down your neck in very chunky BMWs is probably the last sight that James Hacker will want to see as he tries perilously to hang on to P20 overall. For second place in the AM Championship. Grid is this fight as well between Davide Massi and James Hacker, so maybe is going to want to have a bit of a look. Oh my word, Zampiri very close to his fellow Italian, fellow countryman, almost hitting the back end of him, but almost wants to help him try and push past James Hacker for second place, as I say, in the AMs, but Rubini is just taking off multiple cars up the road. So maybe it could already be a fight for second in the AM field. Davide Massi is hanging on to the pace as well as possible. But he has got a bit of a car train of 3 cars in behind him of Zampiri, Steenbergen and Bays. 4.5 minutes into this race and not really much happening. And well, we say that Jack Southfield and Samuel Chimondley continue to be down each other's throats as Southfield ducks and dives underneath him in towards the toe, trying to get the measure of him now down the back straight towards the heel. Is he close enough for a send? There's Oscar Soristo eyeing up a move on Guillaume Hamling as well. Is the 64 machine? Bit of a look, tries more as a deterrence maybe to scare his opponent. It might have worked actually. The 111 is a little bit wide in towards the next left-hander. Jack Southfield pulls out to the right, tries to duck underneath him. But again, not much. Close but no cigar really for Jack Southfield. Into the penultimate corner once more. Slow in, fast out is the way to go. closes the gap. The Porsche really has got some good acceleration initially, mid-engined. So nice stable rear end, of course, which does allow that drive. A lot of power as well. Porsches are just fantastic cars, full stop. I do love the GT3 RS. And in the form of GT3 racing is brilliant stuff, but we'll follow that battle as it continues. Ampere look into the inside of Massey. Of course, this isn't for championship position, but it is for overall position. Side by side go the two teammates, but off the road goes the number 19 and allows Giuseppe through, and maybe also Steenbergen or Bays, as they are also in close pursuit. But Zampiri is trying to work their way forwards. And slowly but surely, of course, is a long race. 33 minutes ahead of you. A bit of a look maybe from Steenbergen. A fight here for third as well. Martin Blankensteiner, Dominic Ligner and Sam Fleety all just in behind each other. Dominic Ligner having a bit of a look. Not quite enough though on this occasion. But again, he's got the time to just chill. But then again, maybe he doesn't want to. They emerge side by side out of the toe and down the back straight towards the heel. Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8. Is Blankensteiner going to try and keep him honest on the inside? The answer to that is no. A sensational move for a sensational driver. And the 716 for Dominic Ligner gets himself back onto the podium, and now his eyes are set forward on the top two as Mogi Marie Striker. Sam Fleety will probably try and follow suit, but what a move from Dominic Ligner. Late on the brakes, got that run around the outside and held it. And there was not really much that the Dane could do in behind. A long race ahead of these guys, so everything is provisional. Anything can happen like that. Bit of a slide there from Dominic Ligner. Tampers his run just a little bit, but all eyes on Sam Fleety versus Martin Blankensteiner. They ride their way up the hill. Got to be cautious of Guillaume Hamling and Oscar Soristo just in behind, but a very poor run from the Dane. And Martin Blankensteiner sees Sam Fleety now take to the outside. Not quite enough to seal the deal, but certainly enough to close the gap. And oh my word, perilously close to contact as they run their way through the inner loop now into the right-hander of the outer loop. Very, very long, very, very fast. Bit of camber as well to play with. The track leans with you. Aids your turning. Under lateral load and back to this fight. Nico Veldman on the back of the fight for the Pro-Am fight for second between Peters and James Wright. Eric Larson able to take off to the extent of about 3.5 seconds now. So doing his best job to put his best foot forward. Nico Veldman though, in a fight that's not his, not for championship position, but is for track position, is going to want to work his way as far forward as possible. Into the third last corner and a little bit wide. Could see the AM leader of Rubini into the mix. We've got a bit of a car train here again of a good 6 cars, I reckon. Yeah, you can see the Mercedes of Peters, then Wright, Veldman, Rubini, Conchabo and Chef all in this fight. 6 cars, I was right, didn't manage to count. But all of them interclass, a lot of them interclass. So got to take it with a pinch of salt really as to who's fighting who and at what points. But Gergely Conchabo, the Hungarian driver, trying to work forwards and maybe get onto that back of the fight for P2. Fight for P6 amongst some of the pros though. Oscar Soristo outside line in his Aston Martin. That's very brave, bold and brilliant. Oh my goodness me. Oscar Soristo around the outside of Guillaume Hamling joins the fight as well and might go for 2 cars and 2 corners around the outside of Martin Blankensteiner for good measure as well. Oscar Soristo goes from 7th to 5th in the span of 3 corners. Inside line now for the shoot. He dives his Aston Martin to the inside and Guillaume Hamling wants to slice the pie as well. Martin Blankensteiner has been caught with his pants around his ankles and now the Lamborghini looks to the outside of the toe. Oscar Soristo, wow, is the only way you can phrase that. Is absolutely wow. Around the outside of the inner loop is impressive in of itself. To then chain that into the outside line for the outer loop is even more impressive. What a move for that. And there's no amount of commentary that can do that justice. What a move. and up now into 5th place for the Finn. But he's not finished there. He's got to press forward and maybe get after Sam Fleety, who's not too far in front of him. That Aston Martin has really switched on in the last couple of minutes, and he's going to want to press forward, get himself past the young Briton, get him handling through the final corner, trying to stay onto the back of Martin Blankensteiner. But what a fight we're getting here. Sir Smokey pulling away in the lead, but here comes Oscar Soristo, outside line for turn number 1. He's no stranger to outside line moves, but parked on the inside perfectly is Sam Fleety. Now the crucial job, get the run out of turn 1. Oh my word, off into the barrier, I think. Gem handling at least a bit of a slide. Scary moment for the Bow Motorsport Lamborghini, able to hang on to it, but certainly suboptimal, certainly gave me a fright, let alone him. Now down the back straight, weaving, trying to break the slipstream is Sam Fleety, also Martin Blankensteiner. They go bumper to bumper into the inner loop, the bus stop chicane, whatever you want to call it, but remaining as close as possible. Welcome in, Chaz Meister. What is your favorite road course in America? I'm about to say the USA then, but I guess same thing. I don't know. Virginia's a nice circuit. I do like a bit of Watkins Glen. Ooh, I don't know. You give me a tough one there, because I don't actually know a lot of about the USA. Cota's a nice circuit, I suppose. Road Atlanta, Road America, really good circuits. I like Road Atlanta in touring cars. I don't know. I'd say Road Atlanta because it's given me some good racing in the past. But Watkins Glen, we're here today. It's a good circuit. And the Americans, they can do it well, but recently Virginia, and the way it just undulates up and down, so many different corners, it really is a driver's track. So yeah, I don't know, I've completely avoided the question, and for good reason. Mid-Ohio is underrated. Yeah, see, I don't really, I hate to say it, I don't know Mid-Ohio quite well, so I'm going to hide away for a little bit, and you can hear the solemnness in my voice as I try and hide my shame. Inside line for David Bays, though, versus Davide Massi. But yeah, I don't really know an extensive amount about the USA in terms of racetracks. There's probably a lot that I've missed, but the main ones, sort of Road America, Road Atlanta, Sebring, Watkins Glen. Oh my word, sideways there for Wouter Steenbergen. Pit window is open for the next 15 minutes as well. By the way, mandatory pit stop for those coming in. Paul Sims is the first in his Ferrari. And you'll be able to tell when they have completed their pit stop with that little green column next to their number plate. Right now it's an orange with a 1, and if they've completed their mandatory stop, it will turn green. So the strategy is one to look out for as the race progresses. Gergely Conchabo on the back of this fight. Rubini really with some good pace as the AM leader in that 24 Mercedes, doing a mightily good job, and joining Davide Massi and Giuseppe Zampiri as the Nord-Est racing team, the Italians, in their very Italian-themed liveries as well. But Rubini with some great pace, and closing in actually on James Wright, who is 3rd place in the Pro-Am standings at the moment. Again, this isn't for championship points. If Rubini was able to get past Wright, it wouldn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. More so just a bit of track position, and would maybe allow Conchabo to have a bit of a look, but he himself maybe getting a bit frustrated, stuck behind the AM leader, potentially might want to make that move himself and press forward on his own terms. But again, guys, like Chaz Meister, don't be shy. Get your comments in, get your questions in, get your anythings in, really. Let's start a conversation. Get to know each other a little bit in the YouTube chat. It's a pleasure to have you, and of course, thank you for watching. Make sure you've liked, subscribed, and turned the bell on for notifications so you don't miss anything that comes out of the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. As I say, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm Zach Sweeney, your commentator, talking you through all the action here for the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. You join me for round number 2 here at Watkins Glen of season number 3. The other 2 seasons, of course, season 2 on the JP Broadcasting YouTube, season 1 on the Sim Racing Collective Twitch channel. Definitely do go give them a watch. 2 great seasons filled with 12 rounds total of fantastic racing. And as Nightbot, well timed, has just said, don't forget, guys, to subscribe, thumbs up, turn on them bells. We have some great racing coming up for you this week. Pretty much echoing exactly what I said. So I beat the AI to it, and Well, they said mechanization was going to end humanity. Well, no, it's not, because I've beat you, Nightbot. I'm on top. I'm in charge. Anyway, well, while I'm arguing with the YouTube chat bot, I'll focus my attention back on the racing, because very, very close. Less than a second again between our two leaders, Sir Smokey and Maurice Stryker. And we focus on this fight here, Martin Blankensteiner versus Guillaume Hamlin. The Danes versus the Luxembourgers. I think that's the thing. It's not like Luxembourgish is the language. We had this conversation last season at Indy. Is it Luxembourger, Luxembourgish? Either way, Sam Fleety, the sole race winner of this season, into the pit lane from 7th place on the field and drops his way down, of course, but taking his mandatory stop. Here comes Jack Southfield outside line versus Eric Larson, who's defending this position and is trying to hang on to the best of his ability for God knows what reason, because he's got Peters just 3 seconds back, and the more he fights, the more he loses, and more puts his race lead at jeopardy. Gergely Conchabo, though, looking at the bottom left of the timing tower, a stop-go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. That is suboptimal, to say the least, for the Hungarian's pursuit of victory. We'll have to come back in again to serve that penalty. Jack Southfield through the inner loop. Nico Veldman also on the back of Peters in this chasing pack, closing in on Eric Larson and Jack Southfield. .7 seconds is the gap at the last split as we approach halfway through this race. 10.5 minutes left on the pit window. Also, everyone has to come in for tyres, I do believe. I think it's a change of tyres. You go up on the jacks and off you go. Fueling is optional, but I think it's beneficial just to run at a lower fuel level for the majority of the race. Of course, less fuel, lighter car, less inertia, easier the car is to change what it's currently doing, which therefore means it corners better. It's more responsive, it wants to react to what you do, and therefore will turn around the course a lot quicker. Less understeer, more responsive, and off you go. So Smokey is into the pit lane, though, from the lead of the race, holds the fastest lap as well. Martin Blankensteiner follows him in, so too does Nico Veldman, all into the pit lane on this lap. Got to be very, very careful not to speed. All of them managing just fine. Maurice Stryker then inherits the race lead as he closes in on some lapped traffic. I think that is Hacker just in front of him there. So maybe Sir Smokey saw the traffic coming at him and decided to pit to get away from it. Now Maurice Stryker has to fight his way through the slower 117 car, unless he pulls out the way and is very nice and abides by the blue flag, side by side in towards the chute. And well, there we go. There's Hacker being very, very nice. But preempting the traffic was Sir Smokey, a very wise decision to look ahead and to be proactive with his thought strategy. And that could mark himself as the race winner again in this season, to tick off yet another season of race victories. Jack Southfield practically pushing the rear end of Eric Larson. This is a great fight, but not really one that matters all too much in the grand scheme of things. Again, close, but not quite close enough for Jack Southfield. In the representing TSRC, of course, in that Porsche fielded an Aston Martin last season. This season is into the Porsche. Into pit lane, Samuel Tremondley. Southfield follows him in also. Those two were down each other's throats for a good point of the early part of this race, and well, now they follow each other in, putting themselves into their pit boxes. Of course, they'll go up onto the stand, and you can gain a lot of time in the pit lane sequence here on Assetto Corsa, because magic, really. You can pull yourself in, brake later, stop on your marks precisely. Something as trivial as that can save you seconds. I remember one time when I was doing a league race a couple of years ago, actually, on ACC on the PS4. It was for FTRL, if anyone knows them. They are quite an amateur league. I did manage to win the 2 AC See championships that I did there. I'm quite proud of that. But there's a round at Hungary where, I came into the pit lane and I didn't really actually stop on my marks too well. And I had to restart the engine and reverse back and then stop. And then I realized that wasn't good enough. I went too far back, so I had to restart my engine, pull back forward, get into stopped, then do the pit stop. And I'd lost a good 12, 15 seconds really, just by not stopping quite well. So, even something as going 30 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour, down the pit lane, just stopping in your box can cost you so much and can decide a race. So the small things really do add up. Here's the fight at the moment. Martin Blankensteiner trying to get past. That's Jack Southwood, who's just exited the pit lane. Gets himself ahead, of course, of him. Martin Blankensteiner, though, should really not be anywhere near Jack Southfield on the racetrack. One of them, either Jack Southfield has gained a lot of time, or Martin Blankensteiner has lost a lot of it. Samuel Chimonde is a good 7 seconds back. So Jack Southfield, speaking of gaining a lot of time in the pit lane, has done exactly that in that Porsche, and now knocks on the door of maybe of a top 6, top 5, if he can keep this pace up. We'll see what the gap is to Sir Smoggy as they cross the timing line of Sector 2, and it's a good about 12 seconds back to the previous race leader, so a long way back, let's put it that way, but still a reasonable distance, for maybe a P5, P6. I don't know, Jack Southfield has definitely turned the pace up a little bit into the final half. Jack taking a gamble and didn't take tyres. Interesting, of course. I mean, I thought they did have to take tyres, but I guess it's just a mandatory pit stop, not a mandatory tyre change. So, gambling on the fact that the tyres are going to make the entire 40 minutes, which they should, will save you a couple of seconds at least. But will start to deteriorate towards the end of the stint. I mean, on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you can sort of double or even triple stint your tyres, so there shouldn't be any sort of fear of them making it. As we see Guillaume Hamling leaving the pit lane, gets himself up to speed fairly quickly, just in time, because Martin Blankensteiner is knocking on his doorstep and trying to make a way through. But Jack Southfield, not taking tyres, needs to push forward, and maybe his gamble already sort of backfiring on him as he loses a bit of time to the two in front. No moves from Martin Blankensteiner, so Guillaume Hamling hangs on to his P11 as it stands. Probably will throw himself out to maybe P5, P6, P7, that sort of area after the pit stops. Dominic Peligno, Oscar Soristo both into the pit lane. Václav Volodya takes the lead provisionally. He's still yet to come into the pit lane though, don't forget. Down the hill in towards the toe for Martin Blankensteiner, Guillaume Hamling and co. into the final 16 minutes and 50 seconds of this race. As I say, you guys are being quite shy on the YouTube chat, so don't forget to tune in. Your predictions, your thoughts as the race progresses. Any questions like Chaz Meister was doing, I do hope you are all enjoying the stream and everything that comes your way on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, because, well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a privilege to have been able to be wanted to talk about this fantastic series for the last 2 seasons and continuing into season 3. So Dominic Peligno, though, we'll come back to that in just a second, leaving the pit lane just ahead of Oscar Soristo. They'll reach the pit limit line and rejoin the circuit. Where is the question? Dominic Peligno actually stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. His race unwound in a moment's notice. It did not take much at all, and now what could have been a great bounce back from a slightly poor showing results wise in Suzuka is now turning into yet another one here at Watkins Glen. It could see him well outside the top 5, particularly maybe even outside the top 10. A trip down pit lane and the 30-second hold. Dominic Peligno would have come out in 3rd place, but he's not been able to do that. He now has to take another trip, and that promotes Oscar Soristo onto the podium. So not a bad showing for Soristo. Of course, he's not going to be complaining at all. But wow, what an interesting dynamic of this race that we are seeing unfold. David Bays on the back of Davide Massi. Looking to the right-hand side, of course, these guys not fighting for championship position, but David Bays gets it to the inside, and oh my word, both of them off. David Bays off, contact with Massi. Almost beached on the curb as well. Yellow flags being waved naturally so, but two separate incidents that sort of combined themselves into one at the end of it. Davide Massi got in a bit too deep, a little bit too squirrely off the exit, and then David Bays just spun the rear wheels and spun himself out, going in a bit too hot, and then crashed into the side. Marcelo Reales, hello, good transmissions, greetings. A query, is there a TCR championship? Well, Marcelo, welcome in. Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. I am glad you are very much enjoying the stream. Unfortunately for the TSRC, there is not a touring car championship, but if you look on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, there is definitely one to look out for, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've got the United Touring Championship last season that you can go back and have a look at. And of course, I think, if memory serves me right, there is another one on the channel ongoing. If not, keep an eye out in the future, because touring cars are something we do not want to miss out on in the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. So keep an eye out, of course. I'm sure there'll be a stream coming your way. So make sure you subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, like the stream, of course, as well. Yeah, just keep an eye out. And I'm sure we'll see you on the grid or in the YouTube chat on one of those TCR races in the future. Thank you for your question, of course. And as I said, it's a pleasure to have you in, Marcelo. But back to the racing action. Vaishlav Volodya comes into the pit lane for his mandatory stop. That reimburses Sir Smoggy of his race lead. Maurice Stryker 4.5 seconds back. So Sir Smoggy running away with it, really, in this race. In the final 13 minutes, he's really got much competition other than himself or the lap traffic, anything like that, really. You follow on Martin Blankenstein, who went a little bit wide off the exit of the final corner. He's in pursuit of Guillaume Hamling. Where has Jack Southfield gone? He's out of the race. 23rd. Was just in pursuit of this, but unfortunately not anymore. There is Vaishlav Volodya now rejoining the circuit from what was the race lead. Now 6th place, just ahead of Martin Blankensteiner, though slow off the pit exit. So side by side as they run their way through, Martin Blankensteiner had a bit of a look to the inside and able to hang on to it to the outside of the final curve. In towards the inner loop, of course, Martin Blankensteiner just able to stay ahead. Volodya very close and knocking on the door maybe of a top 5, and you're very much welcome, Marcelo. As I say, just keep an eye out, really. There's bound to be something at some point. And yeah, TCRs are fantastic. I love touring cars. They are just fantastic. Honestly, there's not much better than touring cars. I know they're front wheel drive, and I know they're not, you know, something that's favourable to drive, because I've been there. I don't really like front wheel drive cars, but my word, do they provide some good racing. Jazzmeister, what happened to Jack? Yeah, I don't know. Something did, whether it was a disconnect or a crash or whatever. We didn't quite manage to see it on the YouTube stream. There he is, still out on circuit, 24th place overall. But maybe we could... 19 degrees got the better of him. Oh my god. Oh my word. Yeah, absolutely. Track temp 19 degrees, air temp 19 degrees Celsius, track temp 21 degrees Celsius. So probably is getting a bit toasty in that cockpit. You are very much right. Jack Southfield, very averse to sunlight. You might be thinking he's a vampire. No, he's just ginger. His skin does not take to the good old vitamin D, which you'd be surprised about for Jack Southfield. Martin Blankensteiner through turn number 1, and again still under the rear wing of Guillaume Hamling in that Lamborghini. Time, though, is not on his side at all in that cracked racing Mercedes. As close as ever as they enter the back straight, and already going defensive is Guillaume Hamling. He knows that he's under pressure. Now Martin Blankensteiner pulls out to the left. It's the outside line for the inner loop, but can he hold it his way all the way around the outside? He's given the room and still side by side off the exit, but Guillaume Hamling just gets the measure of him and stays in front to hang on to 5th for now. Martin Blankensteiner, a good effort, but again, outside line for the inner loop is always going to be fairly tricky, unless, of course, you are unless you're Oscar Soristo, who's done it perfectly around the outside. then turn it into the outside line for on Martin Blankensteiner into the following corner at the chute. Not the chute, the inner loop, outer loop, one of the two. Here's a corner. I know my stuff, I promise. Does remind me though of that TikToker of Max Foster, where he's like, oh, it's grapefruit. I don't know my fruit. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have my brain working at a million miles an hour. I've got to try and keep up with it somehow. It's why I talk so quickly. It's why I have to naturally slow myself down on broadcast. Otherwise, you just hear blah, 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 blah. But yeah, naturally have to slow myself down. Lewis McGlade told me off so many times. I commentated with him a few weeks ago. Oh my goodness me, he told me off so much. He was like, Zach, slow down. I was like, is that any better? He was like, nope. He was like, slow down. I was like, what? How? I'm slowing myself down. He's like, no, you're not. Slow down. So I literally physically had to talk like this, and it pained me for the 3-hour broadcast. It was worth it because it was a fantastic event, fantastic racing for the FIA South European Zone Cup. Dominic Blyer, I think, actually took the victory for that one. At the end of it, the pole. But yeah, it was an interesting event. But yeah, Lewis McGlade does like to tell me off. And again, he's brought me up as a commentator on this journey over the last couple of years. So I'm going to be grateful that he's so tough on me. Such harsh criticism. But he's very much, if I do something wrong, he'll tell me. And he'll be like, Zach, don't. No, absolutely not. What was that? I'm like, oh no. Because I'm just like, what have I done wrong this time? And then they'll tell me, I'll be like, oh, fair enough. And there'll be times I've done something wrong, like I've spoke too quickly or I've not passed it off at the right point. And then I'll be like, yeah, no, I know what's coming. He's about to throw me. He throws me under the bus a lot, actually. Talking about Lewis McGlade. He'll be like, oh yeah, no, Zach doesn't know his tracks, or Zach doesn't know the cars or the information or whatever. And he will call me out on it in front of everyone. And honestly, it's out of order. It is very much out of order, but it's why we love him. He's a 2-time VCO Simi Award winner and got nothing but praise for the lad. He's a very successful commentator, GB3 and GB4 as well. In real life, made that progression last year, maybe even progressing into this year. Big stuff, of course, for Lewis McGlade. So, I mean, yeah, fair play to him. Fair play to the lad. There's Dominic Ligner looking to the inside as Imperi, trying to recover from his stop-go 30. And make the most of some of the pace into the dying stage of this race. 7 minutes and 21 seconds left to go. Back to this fight, a fight that we all want to see occur. The fight between Guillaume Hamling and Martin Blankensteiner, two fantastic drivers and two fantastic looking cars at a fantastic circuit, in a fantastic race, in a fantastic series, a lot of fantastics, but is it going to be a fantastic battle? Covering off the inside, Martin Blankensteiner has a bit of a look. Oh my goodness me. That could have ended in disaster very easily, but all of them making their way through a fairly awkward affair pretty easily. Guillaume Hamling just able to hang on, but Blankensteiner is, again, as I say, just putting that pressure on lap after lap, but he's only got a certain amount of laps left to make that move, to make that lunge. Also, just found out that the clutch pedal of my sim is my push-to-talk button. I did not know that, and I've just found it out as I went to rest my foot. I know this has got nothing to do with the race, but quirky stuff, interesting. I thought I'd share that with you all because it's a very interesting thing. So now I don't even have to touch my keyboard. I can just press my pedal. Fair enough. I'm not going to complain. It means I can use both my hands to hold my microphone after my mic stand broke in August, just before a broadcast, which is fun. Lewis McGlade was on that one. He also told me off quite a lot on that. But yeah, cool, awesome. Very professional stuff to let you know about my clutch pedal being my push-to-talk button as well. Don't remember ever binding that, but it's there. So, cool. Is it the same for my accelerator as well? No, it's not. What about my brake? Neither of that too. Anyway, back to the racing action before I get told off by James or Sharpie in the production booth for waffling on about irrelevant stuff. Once more, another lap ticked down and another lap where we could see Guillaume Hamling under a bit of pressure from Martin Blankensteiner. What Wheels and Pedals is this? Is a Thrustmaster TX. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I bought it on Facebook after my T300 broke a few months ago. Don't know why, don't know how. Yeah, T3 PA pedals. And the 2010 Ferrari F1 add-on wheel as well. Samuel Schmondi having a bit of a look. There's on Peter's inside line. Oh my good. goodness, he almost careered into the side of that Mercedes, but able to hang on. Yeah, I'm looking into getting this shifter, getting a couple more stuff for it potentially. But yeah, maybe a couple more rims or God knows really. Not really much more you can do with Thrustmaster other than a shifter and some good pedals. So we'll look, maybe if I get a raise, get myself some snazzier stuff. Can't race it on ACC though. Again, as I say, week in, week out, ACC just doesn't work for me. My wheel just goes all over the place, and I've tried everything really. I might have to just reinstall the game. I think I've even tried that, but it just didn't work. So yeah, ACC just I love the game. It's great racing, but it's not working for me. And last Christmas I went through all the effort, got the GT4 stuff, got all the UK British GT DRC packs, Snetterton, Donington, love them circuits. Snetterton, of course, my home circuit, only about 40-minute drive away from me in the UK. So no, it's not the SF1000 one, it's the 2010 one, not the 2021 one. I wish I want to get the SF1000 one. I was looking into it this time last year when it first came out. Then I looked at it and it was £300. I was like, I'm not doing that. It's cool and all, but it's not worth £300. So maybe if I can pick it up secondhand for cheap or whatever, maybe I'll get the SF1000. But yeah, apart from that, I'm happy with my F1 rim. I've also got the rim off my T300, which is compatible with this. So if I'm ever driving, say like MX-5s or whatever, I can swap it over and have that versatility. That's what I do like about the Thrustmasters, and anything above that is the ability to change your wheel rim as and when you see fit, depending on what you're driving and how you're driving it. So yeah, good stuff. But with just under 3 minutes left on the clock, and still the fight between Martin Blankenstein and Guillaume Hamling raging on, is the Dane going to have a bit of a look maybe in towards the heel? He died out a little bit, but more was an acknowledgement maybe to Guillaume Hamling to say, no, I'm here, look out for me, I'm in your mirrors. Maybe to force him to brake late, force a mistake out of him, or just to spot his braking point. Anything of those options really is possible. Using the full extremities of the circuit also is the pair of them, and Martin Blankenstein are taking a very wide line through the final corner. Is something I have noticed. Penultimate lap of this race now started, so Sir Smokey got this one and then one more to round off round number 2. Only 2.5, well, not even 2.5, 2 minutes and 5 seconds left on the clock for Watkins Glen. And Sir Smokey does seem pretty well poised to take the victory, 7.7 seconds clear of Maurice Stryker in second place. Guillaume Hamling, is he? I think he's secure. So Martin Blankensteiner is running out of time to get himself back inside the top 5. A good qualifying for Blankensteiner, P3 of course, but hasn't been able to uphold that same prowess throughout the race. Very nice guy is Martin Blankensteiner. Apparently I'm one of the only people to pronounce his name right. People are calling like Blankensteiner, or I don't even know, Blankensteiner? I don't know. Martin Blankensteiner is the only way I've really ever been able to pronounce it, but yeah, he's a lovely guy, fantastic racer, and is proving that here today in the 96 Mercedes. However, the top 5 is on the horizon, it's just in front of him, but it's not quite enough. So Smokey is clear of Maurice Stryker by the extent of now about 12.7 seconds. I don't think that is the 23 machine just in behind him. Of course, Maurice Stryker is in a Honda NSX, but he's more of a purple and blue looking one. So yeah, so Smokey now starts the final lap. One more go around Watkins Glen to seal off the victory, his first victory of this season. It won't see him take the championship lead, but it could see him a good step forward to tick off a great victory here today. Very dominant from pretty much pole to flag, not really unchallenged has been Sir Smokey. We'll keep an eye on, of course, the fights up and down the field. Martin Blankensteiner versus Guillaume Hamling, the fight that we've been following for a good few laps now, but nothing really materializing as of yet. 17 seconds left on the clock, and then we'll see the checkered flag be waved to just in time for Sir Smokey to come across the line to seal the deal for round number 2 here at Watkins Glen. 12.8 seconds here of Maurice Stryker, but Martin Blankensteiner's final opportunity has been tarnished by David Bays' McLaren, really not allowing him to get the drive in towards the inner loop. Closing the gap, of course, but he's running out of time, running out of opportunities. Each corner that ticks by is another opportunity lost. Also, keep an eye out Maurice Stryker versus Oscar Soristo on the final lap. We're going to see Sir Smokey cross the line as late as possible as we follow on as many battles as we can. But Sir Smokey now rounding off sector number 2 into the final few corners of this race. It's been nothing short of spectacular for the German. In the 284 Mercedes, Sir Smokey is always a driver that delivers and delivers well, but he's now got only 2 more corners left to negotiate. In round number 2 of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. 40 minutes of racing from pole to flag here at Watkins Glen. Sir Smokey sees the checkered flag first to take a fantastic victory in spectacular fashion for the Acodis Racing Team Mercedes. Maurice Stryker 13 seconds back in his Honda NSX. The Flying Dutchman makes it a second place finish for the 23. Oscar Soristo, a sensational drive for him in that Aston Martin. Sees him on the podium. Sam Fleety P4, Gim Hamlin gets the measure of Martin Blankensteiner for 5th on the run to the line. P5 and P6 for them respectively. Then comes Vyacheslav Volodya, Sandwich Mondley. Eric Larson, will see him cross the line to take victory for the Pro-Ams. What a race it's been for the Norwegian as well. Sees the checkered flag first for those guys in the 47 Mercedes AMG GT3. And now the AM leader, Paolo Rubini for Nord-Est Racing Team, the Italian-based front in the 24 Mercedes. 15th overall. Great pace. Chucking it up with maybe even some of the podium runners in the Pro-Am. What a drive for the AM leader. And ticks it off a victory by crossing the checkered flag first. And wins in Watkins Glen. What a drive. What a race. Lots of battles. Lots of stalemates. Lots of on the edge of your seats moments as we wait for people to find their feet. Penalties, incidents, 40 minutes of quite a bit of action, to be fair, as far as Watkins Glen goes. But that is the race. We'll wait for the final couple of people to cross the finish line, and then, of course, we will take to the results. A bit of a fight, actually, here for second place in the AMS between Hacker and Davide Massi. All into the barrier on the final corner. Pushing a little bit too hard was Davide Massi. And on the run to line, it is going to be Hacker that takes second in the AMS, followed by Davide. And now P3 rounds off those with the last 2 take to the checkered flag. So we'll run you through the results as they are provisionally after penalties and steward inquiries, etc., etc. But I'm sure there's not going to be too many of them. 23 laps of racing action, and it's Sir Smokey pole the win and the fastest lap for good measure in his bid to recover in the championship. Maurice Stryker in P2 with Oscar Soristo, your podium. Then comes Sam Fleety and Gim Hamlin, your top 5. Martin Blankensteiner just missing out there in a race-long fight with Gim Hamlin. Vyacheslav Volodya, P7, Sandwich Mondley, Eric Larson, the winner of the Pro-Am, the Silver Field, with Peters just in behind him there in the 27 Mercedes, rounding off the top 10 overall as well. Nico Veldman, some places made up for the Dutchman, but not quite the return that he was hoping for in the Audi R8. Then comes James Riot, Chef Rubini, the winner for the AM Silver class. Dominic Ligner, after a late race penalty, only P16. Giuseppe Zampiri, Hacker, Massi, Conchabo, Bays, and Steenbergen, the top 22, with just a couple of drivers in behind them, of course, of Paul Sims and Williams, and of course Jack Southfield in P23. That, of course, is the action, racing action, of course, here for the TSRC PC GT3 Series here at Watkins Glen. We've been on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, and just before we round off the action, you can check in the description for ACC TV, and it's the best ACC broadcasting app that you could ask for. And to us in the broadcasting team, this is truly the best alternative to the regular Kunos client. You get great information on what happens on the track, and the UI you've seen on a few of our broadcasts, really, really slick, if I do say so ourselves. They also give us a ton of other information you don't see on the stream. So if you plan on doing ACC broadcast yourself, definitely do give it a try. And you can get a 14-day free trial if you reach out. Their Discord, of course, is https://discord.io/ACCTV. For myself, Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk you through the action here today. I've had Sharpie, of course, on the production feed, giving you the cameras and trying to keep up with everything behind the scenes and give any replays or just follow the action really is very difficult in of itself. Thank you to you guys for watching along as well. It's been a pleasure to have you in chat. Chazmeister, Marcelo, and of course the Sim Racing Collective YouTube channel themselves. Been an absolute pleasure to have you, and we hope to see you in the future. As I say, the Radical Racing series is taking place right now, or if you want to wait till 1:45 in the morning for those in the UK, or whatever time zone that is for you, you can wait for the Radical Racing series Americas. Tomorrow, of course, there's going to be more stuff, sim racing, all throughout the week. Every night there's probably at least one broadcast, something to tickle your fancy here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. So make sure you're liked, subscribed, and the bell on for notifications as well. Make sure to follow us on Instagram to keep up with all things sim racing. But until next time, guys, it's goodbye.